What's up, everyone? It's Wild Pro. I'm back with another deck profile. So we should enough gimmick puppets. It's a really strange deck, especially since this is for Dueltainer format and can't use XYZ. Um, but yeah, I mean, kind of make it work, kind of. But yeah, let's get straight into it. So with the monsters, you got gimmick puppet little soldiers, which is essentially you're foolish, so you can only foolish level 8s, and you have to foolish gimmick puppet, and that isn't the same level. Then we have gimmick puppet Humpty Dumpty, which is normal or special summon. You can special summon a gimmick puppet from your hand. Then you have gimmick puppet Terror Baby, which special summons a gimmick puppet from grave when it's normal summon. Then you have gimmick puppet Scissor Arms, which is allows you to foolish any of your gimmick puppet monsters when it's normal summon. Then you have Gimmick Puppet Phoenix Knight, which is essentially like your main like boss monster for like the Gimmick Puppets. Since when it's well, once per turn, you can target a Gimmick Puppet or a monster in your opponent's grave. This is special summon to like the owner's field, and then it's on Phoenix Knight. And then also, if it's set from anywhere from your hand to the grave, I mean anywhere except the hand to the grave, you can use this effect to add back to your hand. Though to use any of those effects, you're essentially locked out of the extra deck since it pretty much allows you to only summon killer puppets from the extra deck. Then you have Gimmick Puppet Dreary Doll, which by banishing a Gimmick Puppet in your grave, you can special summon it from your grave. Then you have Gimmick Puppet Rouge Doll, which same thing as Phoenix Knight. If it's sent from anywhere except the hand, you can add it back to your hand. And you have Gimmick Puppet Beast Doll, which you can discard a Gimmick Puppet in your hand, so you can special summon it. Then you have Gimmick Puppet Magnet Doll, which you can summon as long as you only control Gimmick Puppets and your opponent has monster in field. Then you got Gimmick Puppet Twilight Joker, which when your Gimmick Puppet is short of battle, you can banish that Gimmick Puppet to summon the Twilight Joker. And you have the engine that's like pretty, like helps it and like gives it some like firepower, gives it some firepower, which is the Cyberdark. So we have Cyberdark Heal, Cyberdark Edge, Cyberdark Horn, which they all target level 3 or lower dragons in the grave to equip it, and then they can attack based on the attack of the equipped monster. Then you have Cyberdark Claw, which you can discard to search for Cyberdark Spell Trap. And if it's sent to the grave while equipped to a monster, you can target Cyberdark monster in your grave to add it back to your hand. And during damage while it's equipped, you can send a monster from your extra deck to the grave. And then you have Cyberdark Cannon, which you discard to search for a Cyberdark Machine monster. And if it's sent while equipped, you draw a card, and then during damage count, you can flush a monster from your deck. Now you have Cyber Dragon to go to like some fusion place and something you can just special summon. Then you have Machine of Fortress, since you do have a lot of level 18, just discard to summon it. That's it for the monsters. Then moving on to the spells, we got Mention of the Dreadful Law, which is the main field spell you want. Since when you activate it, you can add a replicated puppet monster from your deck, and then as long as it's on field, your game puppets are unaffected by your monster's active effects, and they can be destroyed in battle. You have Condolence Puppet, which you can foolish any number of game puppets from your deck based on the number of extra deck monsters your opponent controls, and then +1. We have Junk Puppet, which is a reborn for your game puppets, then Perform Puppet, which lets you banish a game puppet from your grave and only monster become that level. And then also, when your game puppet is destroyed by battle card effect, you can special summon a banish game puppet to special summon it. And we have Cyberdark Inferno, which makes your Cyberdark monsters that are equipped with a equip card protection from being destroyed by opponent's card effects, and they can be targeted. And also, they could target a Cyberdark on field to return it, and then something back immediately, pretty much. And then also, you be, and then also, if one is destroyed, you can search for a fusion spell. But it's destroyed by your opponent's card. So, yeah. Then you have Cyberdark Realm, which one activate, searches for a Cyberdark Arc monster, and then it gives you additional normal summon of Cyberdark. Then you have Overload Fusion, that's you foolish by revealing fusion, and you push one tears on it. Overlord Fusion, which fuses summons by banishing tears from your field and or grave. Then you have Limit Rule, which doubles the attack of your machines. Terraforming to search for field spells. That's 10 to give some more attack to your monsters. For each counter, and you get counters from each time a card or effect is activated. And for each counter on it, you must get 100 attack. Need a lot of rap, which is kind of a funny card that works since every time, once per turn, when a monster's or something from grave, you bury your opponent for 1,000 and you gain 500. You do summon from the grave a lot. So that's super works for this deck. And this one's space safer, so you get rid of some back row. Harpies, to get rid of more back row. Then you have Allure of Darkness, Agree, Trade and Graceful for your draw power. Fit for the spells. For the tricks, you use a Puppet Parade, which if your opponent has more monster than you get summon and gain puppets from your deck up to a difference. Then you have Cyberdark Invasion, which once per turn, if you want effects suit your entire Cyberdark you control to equip a dragon or machine to it, that gives it 1,000 tag. Or if you can send a equip card you control to destroy more of your boss cards. Then you have Lostman for negate, Dark 5 and negate, and then draw virus for some recursion. That's it for traps. And then moving on to extra deck. You got Cyberdark Dragon, which is the boss monster you want to try be going into. Cyber End Dragon, Cyber Dark Dragon, your materials for Cyber End, Cyber Darkness Dragon, where it's kind of like you push your Cyber End Dragon, and then if you can, or like you have to, you can push the Cyber Dark Dragon, you can try some darkness the uh, with the fusion, on the two fusion spells, and then you just equip it with Cyber End Dragon to and tribute it off to go to Cyber Dark End Dragon. And also, you have Chimeric Over Dragon, which is another boss monster you can go into with the fusions. And then you have Chimeric Fortune Dragon, where it's like you can also go into it but if you have Cyber Dragon on field, you can send it with pretty much all our machines on field. So it also kind of like helps if you're also facing some opponent that's using machines. And then you have Golden Cloud Beast Malong and Wings of Resident Life as like our options from that select. As Malong bounces up card your opponent controls, and then Guru gives you a drift. That's it for this. And like always, just do like a quick test and I'll show you what like that can do and like some of the combo lines. And since this is Dueltainer format, it is standard to do 5 off the top. I mean half cut and then 5 off the top. And like always, a reminder, this Dueltainer format is a custom format. And if you want to know more about it, I'll leave a link to the website down in the description. I think this should be enough properly. So, oh well. But yeah, half cut and then the top 5. It's like, this like kind of just want to go second because I really do need to text it off because there are like some high chances you can fit with it. So starting hand is Cyberdark Cannon, Cyber Dragon, Perform Puppet, Gimmick Puppet Phoenix Knight, and then Gimmick Puppet Duel Soldiers. And then for your draw, for a second, Cyberdark Realm. What you can do here is basically there's no formulas. You're going to want to discard cannon, and then be able to add. Doesn't really matter though. I would say probably it'll be best to get Edge, since Edge can attack directly. Sharpen it. See what you really want to do, since like you can stomach and Edge and then well, it's not instead of summoning Edge, you can just first level you might want to just like summon Cyber Giant out of the outfield. Because then also like for that you can either choose to summon those soldiers or Edge or Horn. Either one will be fine. Though it might be better to just summon Edge and to equip it to cannon. And then from there you attack during damage cal if you use cannon to foolish, which your best option would probably be Rouge at this current moment. You wouldn't use Rouge's effect. You just simply just go main phase 2 to the summon Phoenix Knight and then the Rouge, and pretty much pass, and like you should be able to like get like 4 monsters on field. You know, and like we'll see right now who we get for the next shot. Um, assuming Dragon and like Rouge is dead, they'll be in grave. Draw. You get Condolence Puppet, which what you can do is just use Condolence Puppet to Foolish. Sending it, probably just Fury Dog. And then this turn, you just summon little soldiers to then get to do just that. After just a 20 Joker. Because quite honestly, after you get Rude and Phoenix Knight, doesn't exactly matter what you foolish. You're just like foolishing just so you can get like as many shares as possible to use using Overload or Disorder. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck file. And yeah, that I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.